Last time on Blue Lock Season 2, despite trying his best, Isagi still was not able to make an impact on the game. But after taking Hiyori's advice of thinking as he moves, Isagi finally breaks past his slump, surpassing the two geniuses on his team in that moment, and scores the final match-winning goal. Desperate to prove to Nagi that he is worthy of playing alongside him, Ryo locks in for his match. Will he be able to do as he hopes? Or will the two giants from Team A crush him before he could manage anything like that? We find out that and more in this episode. Having excelled effortlessly at everything he ever did thus far, Ryo knows there are things even he might not be able to do. Determined to show Nagi how much he's changed, he tells him to keep his eyes on him. Titled Chameleon, Episode 4 kicks off with Isagi and Nanase sitting in the review room, analyzing Isagi's goal. Isagi explains that he was reacting while thinking and moving at the same time, saying he hadn't really made such complex movements before. Hiyori enters the room and joins in the conversation, saying he didn't think Isagi would score either, and thought that either Rin or Shido would get his cross. Isagi asks him about his advice to him earlier. Hiyori elaborates with an analogy of the falling bricks game, where initially the blocks fall slowly and so you can switch shapes in time, but gradually they fall faster to the point where you don't have time to first think and then act. Hiyori compared that pace to that of playing against Rin and Shido. Furthermore, adding that pro players of the block game learn to gather available information, think about it, and put it into action by processing all that at incredible speeds. Soccer was similar to that. Isagi gets Hiyori's point. He had in that moment been able to know where everyone was, what they were doing, what his weapons were, and where the pass was coming from. Hiyori says it was Isagi's speed that had improved due to this focus of his. Nanase adds that meant Isagi's hardware. In other words, his physical abilities had improved. Hiyori affirms, comparing it to your phone service going from 4G to 5G. His hyperfocus had put him in a trance-like state in that moment, Isagi believes. But the ever-humble Isagi shows modesty by saying that happened because both of them were there. Nanase confesses that he could not keep up with Rin and Shido, but could do so with Isagi. Isagi thanks him for doing that, as that led to an increase in options available to him. Hiyori thanks Isagi because his goal gave the two an opportunity to show their worth in the team. Thrilled by luck finally favoring them, the three get hyped up. Isagi believes he could aim much higher if he somehow manages to master his new trance-like skill. The three then tune in to catch the second match between Team A2 and Team C1, live. Kickoff. Determined to prove how much he had improved since he last saw him and cement his place alongside him, Ryo produces a brilliant curling pass to Nagi. But the tallest high school soccer player, Ishikari, had other plans and headed it clear with ease for a counter to Rin. Shido, surprisingly, doesn't get the pass from Rin after calling him a long bottom lashes jerk. Instead, Rin passes it to Igaguri. Excited at the thought of being part of a counter with the best of Blue Lock, Igaguri finds his path blocked by Ryo. Unable to decide who to pass it to, Igaguri panics and passes it to Shido after he threatens to crack open his monk's skull. Seeing that the ball will fly over him, Shido cuts past Gagamaru for the ball, but the highly athletic, unorthodox Gagamaru impresses by executing a reverse back heel kick midair, passing the ball to Blue Lock number 5, Yukimiya Kenyu. It's Blue Lock's number 5 versus number 1. Yukimiya, demonstrating flawless use of drag scissors, which misdirect your opponent by shifting their center of gravity while you dribble past at max speed, leaves Rin behind in the dust. Confidently declaring he's the best in all of Japan when it came to one-on-one plays in soccer. Interested, Shido challenges Yukimiya up next, but by forcing his power and speed, Blue Lock number 5, the one-on-one emperor, Yukimiya Kenyu blasts past Shido too. With his path blocked by both Igaguri and Ishikari, Ryo yells desperately at Yukimiya for a pass. But instead, Yukimiya takes a mid-range shot right from there. Initially, it looks as if it's way off, but then it slowly starts curling in, changing its trajectory. A gyro shot, Ryo calls it, but the glam man Ryu anticipates this, and gets in place to stop it, when all of a sudden Nagi bursts out of nowhere, controlling the ball with his genius touch, and hurls it into the goal to score the first goal of this match between Team A2 and Team C1. Seeing the extraordinary chemical reaction between the two geniuses, Ryo feels perhaps Nagi had outgrown him at this point. His bored buddy, who he used to pass to, had reached a point he could no longer chase after. The realization that perhaps it was time to let go begins to kick in for Ryo. Team A2 has the ball. They push for a counter. Ryo frustrates over how he's supposed to compete against the top 6 with his all-round specs that can't go above 99%, while the top 6 all have certain attributes far exceeding 100%. Meanwhile, Rin glides past him with ease, passes it to Ishikari, taking advantage of his tall stature, who heads it to the other lumbering tower of their team, Ryu, who then heads it back to Rin again, and Rin scores. Ryo frustrates over how he was supposed to compete with these monsters. Meanwhile, Rin and Shido go at it like an old married couple because Rin didn't include Shido in his play on purpose. Wanting absolutely nothing else but to be the best striker in the world was what drove these egomaniacs to shine so brightly. Ryo, on the other hand, had a very successful life waiting for him back home. He could lose here and still accomplish a lot in life by taking over his father's business. But going back to that boorish hell was the last thing he wanted. Mustering up a resolve to give it his all here like a fool if he must. Yukimiya starts the play, but Rin intercepts him, clearing the ball from him. The ball gets picked by Ryo. Embracing his talent for skillfully copying any play, Ryo makes the decision to trust it and depend on it from now on. Ryo takes charge of himself and doesn't pass to Nagi. Instead, he takes the shot from right there, a miss kick. It appears as if he had messed up, but the trajectory, just like Yukimiya's shot, changes drastically, and the ball flies into the bottom right corner for a goal, announcing the birth of Ryo's new playstyle, chameleon. Watching the match live, Isagi calls this Ryo's answer to survive in blue lock, his ability to deftly pull off plays. While Nanase is in awe of Ryo's ability, Hiyori points out its most obvious weak point, which is that it can never best the original play. Isagi finds himself agreeing to Hiyori, as other players' physical attributes like height and speed can't be copied, meaning Ryo still needed to develop his new skill more. Back at the match, Team A2 managed to beat Team C1 5-3. Although still not at the same level as that of the top 6, Ryo finally sees a silver lining in the form of his new ability, which he needed to work on to get there. Nagi walks up to Ryo and praises his new ability, calling it something very Ryo-like. Ryo tells Nagi, but that was still not enough, that he wait till he becomes something that would force him to chase after him. Wait till he fits the criteria of what Nagi wanted from soccer. Nagi takes Ryo up on this challenge and leaves Ryo, who makes up his mind that he would get what he wanted no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Itoshi Sai, the older brother of Rin and Japan's soccer superstar, goes to meet with the chairman of the Japanese soccer board and the manager of Japan's under-20 team. Unaware of who they were, Sai asks who the beer belly and incompetent fool in front of him were. Adding insult to injury, Sai then starts berating Japan's under-20, especially trash-talking the forwards, labeling them incompetent nincompoops covered in puke. Disappointed by the team he was supposed to captain, Sai pulls out of the upcoming match. Before he leaves, however, the chairman plays his final card. He tells Sai that he could pick any overaged player, any legend he wanted, basically any player as long as they were Japanese. This excites Sai, who tells him that in that case, there was an idiot in blue lock he wanted to play with. Stay connected, like and subscribe for more fun recaps on one and only Endless Recaps.